the Coders Campus podcast, where you'll learn how to code from one of the best teachers in the industry. Whether you're an absolute beginner or a seasoned pro, the Coders Campus podcast will teach you what you need to know to master the art of programming. And now, your host, Trevor Page.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Coders Campus podcast. I've been sort of silent over the past few weeks. I've been hard at work figuring out what I can talk to you about next and what I can teach you about. And I finally landed on a topic that has been a very popular topic inside of my Coders Campus membership platform, where my students actually can ask me what is it that they want to learn about. And one of the things that keeps coming up is Amazon Web Services. I'm sure you figured that out based on the title of this podcast, but we're going to have a series of podcasts now. I don't know how many, maybe 4, maybe 5, who knows, different episodes that are going to be focusing on essentially your ultimate guide on how to host a Java web application with Amazon Web Services. So it's going to be pretty darn cool. We're going to talk about how you can finally launch those programs that you've been creating, get them away from localhost 8080 and get them published onto the actual internet so that your mom or your dad or your friends or your family, whoever, can go in and look at it and, pat you on the back and say, hey, good job. You're a smart cookie for doing that, right? That's all we really want as programmers, is validation to, have people tell us just how smart we really are, right? So let's get things started off by first explaining what Amazon Web Services actually is or are. I don't know what I need to refer to. I guess web services is plural, so I can say what web services actually are and why they are useful to you as a Java programmer. So Amazon Web Services are a bunch of products, essentially. Really, they're services, but they're products. And they're products that Amazon is offering to essentially make our lives easier as programmers. So just like, the Spring people over at the spring.io, they, do hard work in order to make our lives easier. Same thing that Amazon's doing here with their Amazon Web Services. The difference is that you might need to pay for Amazon Web Services, but we'll get to that in just a moment. So these products come in the form of essentially web applications that help us do the sort of unfun stuff that comes along with programming. So mostly it involves what we call DevOps, so development operations, which is often shortened to just DevOps because apparently we are lazy. So DevOps are essentially the processes that we use to make sure that our code can be properly enjoyed by all of our users. So instead of, doing the localhost 8080 stuff, we can actually get the code out onto the public web so that anyone can access it and enjoy the fruits of our labor. So typically when we're coding, we're firing up a server privately. Like I said, on our laptops or our desktops, we have a Tomcat server or something installed that's running our code on localhost 8080, and we code away like little happy monkeys and whatnot. But what happens when we finish our application and we're ready to show it off to the world? Well, we have a few options. We can, do things like upload it to GitHub, but that's really only to be enjoyed by other programmers. Only, other programmers know how to access GitHub and download the code and run it on their own local servers. So really, like I said, we want our family and friends and possibly complete strangers to use our apps and tell us how amazing we are. So you get the idea here. So we're going to essentially go over a sort of 10,000 foot view really quickly about what it is that we're going to be talking about over the next, like I said, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, who knows, episodes of this podcast. So in this one, we're going to be talking about how you can go about signing up for Amazon Web Services, because that's really the first step. How do you sign up? What are the implications when you sign up? What are you really, getting yourself into when you sign up? And what are the processes around it and whatnot? Okay, that's more or less what we're going to be covering in this episode. And then we're going to go on to talking about how you can create a Tomcat server on the web with something called Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, Elastic Beanstalk is one of those Amazon Web Services products. Amazon Web Services, which is also called AWS. Maybe I'll just say AWS from now on because that's a whole lot easier. AWS has a bunch of products. Like, let me open up my console here and just get a quick idea of how many they might have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's say 10 times maybe 4. So there's at least 40 different applications that they offer. Okay, at least. That's what I'm looking at right now on my console. I don't know the exact number because I don't want to go through and count. That would not make for very, titillating conversation. So, somewhere around 40 different applications that they offer. So Elastic Beanstalk is one of those applications, and it allows you to essentially host a Tomcat server on the web. Okay, just like you have a Tomcat server locally on running on your private machine, and you can log in and do stuff with a Tomcat server on localhost 8080. You can use Elastic Beanstalk to do the same thing, only you're going to be on the interwebs. So step 3 is to prep your code for development to Elastic Beanstalk. There's a little bit of code prep that you need to do in order to make sure that it's going to work seamlessly when you upload it to the interwebs, specifically to AWS. So then we need to figure out how you deploy the code to Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, there's steps involved in taking your code that you've prepped and deploying it into Elastic Beanstalk so that it can run in the public web so people can access it. Okay, at that point, you'll have a website up and running. You'll be able to have a URL to give out to people. They can go on their mobile phones or on their computers, whatever, and they'll be able to access your application. Then we're going to go even further, and I'm going to talk about how to create a database in the web using Amazon Web Services, specifically Amazon's RDS service, RDS, which is, I'm assuming, it stands for a Relational Database Service. I'm assuming that's what it stands for. Perhaps not. Who knows? I'm totally just making that up. So, creating a database in the web is actually pretty cool. There's two main advantages. One is, well, it's in the web, so when you have a project that you want to share with a colleague so that they can, jump on board and help you code, they don't have to set up their own local environment, okay? All the code, all the settings, everything that you've checked into, whatever repository you're using, like GitHub or something like that, whatever you checked in there, they can check out and immediately get to work. It should immediately start working because all the connection details are the same. They don't have to set up their own private database. It's hosted in the web. So, everything that you check in, they just check out and boom, they're ready to rock. They can connect to the database and get up and running. So this is kind of cool because way back when I was working as a programmer, we all had to set up our own local databases. And, the first day, the first maybe even week of your job is just spent around configuration and getting the application up and running on your personal laptop or desktop, whatever it is that you're working with. So having a database in the cloud with Amazon Web Services using RDS is a great. It's helpful. It really helps to lessen the eye gouging that needs to happen when you're doing the initial setup phase. Okay, that's advantage number 1. Advantage number 2 is it's fast. You can set up an RDS instance, a relational database in the web using AWS. You can set it up in the same sort of region as your Elastic Beanstalk app, so your Tomcat server. So they can both be hosted in the same region. Let's say, there's a whole bunch of different regions that Amazon Web Services provides you. So, West Coast, Central, East Coast, some in Canada, some in the States, some in Europe, some in Asia. All over the world they have these sort of environments, these regions. And if you have your database set up in the same region as your Elastic Beanstalk, which is essentially your Tomcat, it's blazing fast. It is super fast. So really, really cool stuff there. Next step is you need to figure out how to configure your Amazon RDS instance, your actual relational database in the web. There's some steps that you need to go through. Not many, but a few steps that you need to go through to make sure that it's configured and ready to rock for when you want to have your programming people, buddies, and whatnot working with it, or when you want to work with it. Next up is you need to be able to connect your code to the RDS instance. So you need to say, hey, I want my local, my code that maybe I previously had connecting to a local database. I need to do some, finagling, some simple coding stuff to connect it to my RDS instance in the web. Okay, so really it's like 3 annotations you need to use, I think, and maybe 1 bean you need to set up. So that's pretty simple. Next up, and these are sort of optional steps now, is you want to be able to figure out how to point a domain name to your fancy new hosted application, your fancy new, AWS instance. So again, this isn't mandatory because you're going to have a URL that you can go to that points to your new hosted application using AWS. The problem is that the URL you get is a very long, convoluted, and not human readable type. Well, it is human readable, but it's not really memorable. You can't really say, okay, go to coderscampus.com, because it's a gigantic URL with a whole bunch of numbers, random numbers and characters and stuff like that. So it's really not friendly to be able to say, hey, go to my website, it's this.com. So you want to be able to have a domain name point to your application, and so you can say, go to coderscampus.com, and it will load up the RDS or the Amazon Elastic Beanstalk application. Okay, so that's one of the steps I show you how to do. That deals with DNS and zone files and that kind of thing. And then again, another optional step is tweaking your settings in such a way that you can create an SSL certificate for your website. So previously, you would have to pay for an SSL certificate to secure your website. So SSL means instead of going to http:// you go to https:// and then the name of your website. When you have a HTTPS, which isn't really using an SSL certificate, it is a secure website. It's encrypted, which means that any data you send across the internet from your computer to the server will be encrypted. This is especially useful when you have a login page. When you need to log into a website, you want that to be a secured and encrypted connection, because you don't want to send your login credentials with your username and your password across the open web unencrypted. That would not be a good situation, right? That leaves you open to getting hacked, and then so on and so forth. So creating an SSL certificate is important if you're going to have any sort of application that requires some sort of sensitive information to be carried across the open web. So that's one of the things I'm going to talk about as well. So once you've gone through all those steps, you'll have a fully functional cloud-based Java web application hosted with Amazon Web Services. Okay, that's a lot of steps, which is, like I said, why we're going to be covering this all across many episodes of this podcast. Cool. So before I jump into how to sign up for AWS, which is, like I said, what we're going to be talking about today, I want to do a quick talk about the pricing, the cost of AWS. So that's a lot of things. This is essentially what a lot of people worry about, is they say, hey, how much is this going to cost me to actually use this fancy, AWS stuff? Okay. And to me, it's actually funny that as programmers, we're so worried about paying for products and services related to programming. I really don't know where that kind of thinking came from, but really, it's really poisonous. It's a poisonous line of thought pattern, whatever you want to call it. We're always researching and reaching for free alternatives, but they're often either much more complicated to use, or they're just not as useful in general, going for like the free route, if you will. I don't know why, especially as programmers, we get paid so much money, and yet we're so frugal with it. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. But anyway, having said that, AWS has set things up so that you can actually use all their services for free for 12 months. Okay, so a whole year for free. Mostly. So to be more specific, you can use one instance of each of their services for free for 12 months. Okay, so what do I mean by one instance of each of their services? Well, that means that you can create one Tomcat server, okay, for free for 12 months. Or you can create one database for free and use it for 12 months. And you can create one hosted zone, like you have used for your forwarding, so that you can actually go to a memorable website, something.com, and actually have it go to your hosted application. That's called a hosted zone, and you can set that up. You can have that for free for 12 months, okay? One instance of every one of those. So you see, Amazon bases the pricing off of hourly usage. Okay, so they bill by the hour. They'll give you around something like 744 hours of free usage per month for all of their products and services across each of their individual products and services. So that means that essentially, if you launch 2 Tomcat servers, you'll be using around, let's say, 1,500 hours per month. Okay, because there's about 744 hours per month. So if you're using 1,500 hours, you're going to be paying about, whatever that is, 760 hours of Tomcat usage, because that's going above and beyond the free amount that they give to you. Okay, does that make sense? So you can have one Tomcat instance running for the entire month. That'll be free. If you add a second instance, you're going to be paying for that. All right. They also have a graduated cost structure, which means that you can choose to pay less for a less powerful server or pay more for a gradually more and more powerful type servers. Okay, so as of the time of the posting of this podcast episode, a micro instance, which is what they call them a T1 micro or a T2 micro. That's just what Amazon calls them. It's essentially a server with 1 gig of RAM and whatnot. It goes for about 12 cents an hour. Okay, so 12 cents an hour, that puts you at about $8.64 per month if you're going to be going above and beyond the free usage. So if you've gone after 12 months of usage, you're going to be looking at about $8.64 per month to host your Tomcat server. Okay, and like I said, a micro instance it's a small instance. It's about 1 gig of RAM, but it's great for development. I mean, it's more than enough for your development environment and even a small production environment if you don't have that many active users. You can get away with having, maybe 1,000 active users per month. Maybe more than that would be, the micro instance would be more than enough to handle that. But if you're getting into maybe 10,000 or 100,000 people, then you probably will need to upgrade to a bigger instance. Anyway, but for a full list of their prices, you can totally go and check out, you can type in, Amazon, AWS pricing. I think the URL is like aws.amazon.com/ EC2/pricing/ some, like I'll include the link in the show notes. So if you want to go to the show notes page, you can get access to it via coderscampus.com / what is it, 15 now we're on? Yes, /15 will give you access to the show notes for this one. So anyway, hopefully that wasn't too confusing. You're looking at about, let's say, $9 a month for a regular server. You're looking at about maybe $12 to $15 a month for a database. Okay. Again, outside of the free tier usage. So if you're using, if you've gone past your 12 months of free service, that's what you'll be paying. If you're still inside of your first 12 months, you won't be paying anything. It will be free. Okay. So just to give you an idea, you're looking at around a total of maybe $20 to $30 per month to host a single application. Okay. That's about what you're looking at, hosting an application on their smallest servers. Cool. So, all right, let's get into how to sign up for Amazon Web Services. This should be fairly straightforward. There's a lot of visuals that go along with this, so that's why, you should probably check out the show notes, coderscampus.com /15, but I'll do my best to, make this audio friendly. So, to get started, all you need to do, go to aws.amazon.com. Again, aws.amazon.com. So, it's like going to amazon.com, only, use a subdomain of AWS to get it going. So on that screen, once it loads up, in the top right-hand corner, most likely there's going to be some sort of big yellow button. It's going to say, create an AWS account, or it's going to say sign into the console, something like that. You can go ahead and click on that button to sign in and create your account. And then what you're going to be presented with is a screen where you can sign in. So you can put in your email address and your password. And the reason why you can put in your email address and password, even though you haven't signed up for this before, is because it uses your Amazon account information. So if you've ever purchased something off of Amazon before, which is pretty likely that you have done that in the past, you can just use your Amazon account information. It doesn't have to be your Amazon Web Services account information. Amazon uses all, essentially single sign-on type technology. So you can use your Amazon login, type it in, and you're good to go. Or if you don't have an Amazon account at all, you can go ahead and create one on this page. Not a big deal. So if you choose to create your own brand new Amazon account on this page, then you can go ahead and do that. You have to type in your name and a password, obviously. You have to create a password. Okay? Pretty straightforward stuff there. Then it's going to ask you to fill out your contact information, okay? And here's where you can, sign up as either a company account or a personal account. The only difference is between those two is with a company account, you need to type in the name of your company. With a personal account, you don't. So really, it's just the same thing. It's same contact form fill information type thing that you'd see anywhere else. Your name, your address, your phone number, that kind of thing. Pretty straightforward. By the way, make sure you use a valid phone number because it's going to do a security check on that, or rather an identification check where it's going to phone you on that phone number and you'll have to type in a PIN. So keep that in mind. All right. Then the next screen is payment information. Again, people get scary when they see this screen and they type in their credit card or debit card number. Again, you won't be, as long as you sort of follow my instructions. I can't guarantee that you won't be charged anything because I'm not sitting next to you and I can't, fully guarantee that you're going to not be charged anything. But as long as you, heed my advice, stick with the free tier usage, which typically is the micro instances. If you're choosing micro instance, and you're within your first 12 months, you shouldn't be charged anything. Okay? Sound good? So anyway, type in your credit card information here, name, credit card, that kind of thing, standard stuff. Go ahead and hit the next button once you're done with that. And then you'll need to identify yourself. So this is where you're going to have to give the phone number. You say, go ahead and call me. They'll call you on your phone. You can type in the PIN. They'll give you a PIN on the screen. You see the screen, the PIN on the screen. You type it into your phone. And then, boom, the verification step will be complete. And then we'll ask you to select a support plan. So here, Amazon Web Services offers a bunch of different support plans, I think 4 to be exact. The basic support plan is free. That's the one that you probably want to go with, the basic one. And that just gives you access to customer service via, if you have like billing questions or something, then you can ask them. Otherwise, any other questions, really, they're going to just refer you to their documentation. Okay, so it's basic level support. They're only going to talk to you, I think, if you actually, have a billing question. Anything above and beyond that, they're going to say, nope, you're not paying for that. Otherwise, you can actually upgrade and pay something like $30 a month and get access to your own sort of personal technical support person. So you can, email them at any point if you have a question, and you'll get an answer within about 12 to 24 business hours. All right, so you'll be able to ask questions specifically and say, hey, I'm having trouble with my server. I don't know why it's not working, but this is the case. Can you help me out? And they'll actually reply to you and give you technical support. That's about $30 a month. Next up is business level support, where you have like 24/7 phone and chat support. Stuff that is really useful, but it's about $100 a month. So that's, it gets pretty pricey. And then you can get into like, the enterprise level with like mission critical, like, oh no, something's broken, I need help right now, all hands on deck type thing. That is, and brace yourself, $15,000 a month. So this is only for very large corporations who are making lots and lots of money. Okay, so that gives you an idea of the support levels. Again, you'll probably just want to choose the basic support level because you have me more or less to guide you through this stuff, right? So there you go. Once you've done that, you can complete your registration, and you'll be able to sign into the console or the dashboard, whatever you want to call it. So when you go to sign into your dashboard, you'll type in the same username and password that you typed in previously to get this whole ball rolling, and you'll be able to log into your console and take a look at all the goodies, all the different services that Amazon Web Services actually provide to you. All right. So there you go. That's as simple as it is to sign up for an Amazon account. You've got an overview on how to do that. You got an overview on the pricing. Again, it should be free for the first 12 months, as long as you choose the micro instances. Oftentimes when you create these instances, so when you create your Tomcat server or when you create your database server, they just automatically put you on the free tier right away. They don't even ask you. They just put you on the free tier. You have to physically upgrade to a non-free tier, and it will even warn you and say, hey, you're about to leave the free tier. Are you sure you want to do this? Okay. So there you go. That's an overview of Amazon Web Services. And in the next episode of this podcast, we're going to be getting into Elastic Beanstalk, which is how to create your own Tomcat server using Elastic Beanstalk, which is one of the AWS services, and it's a very handy little service. So, can't wait to see you guys in that next episode. Again, check out the show notes for this via coderscampus.com/15 for all the goodies, all the links, and everything I mentioned in this episode. And there you go. Hope you have yourselves a great day. It's great to be back doing the podcast again, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next episode. So, have yourself a good day. Take care of yourself. Happy learning, and bye for now.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Coders Campus podcast. But before you go, Trevor has a favor to ask you. In order to keep these episodes free, he'd love for you to leave a rating and review the podcast on iTunes. Just go to coderscampus.com/review to leave your own rating and review of the show. So if you have 30 seconds to spare right now, Please help out by leaving a rating and review via coderscampus.com/review. It will ensure that you continue to get these awesome free podcast episodes each and every week. So if you like free swag, head on over to coderscampus.com/review. Happy learning!